Welcome to episode 1 of the 643 podcast presented by Thirsty Goat Entertainment. My name is Taylor Shaw, and oh, you didn't know, your ass better call somebody. This man here, he goes by the name of Blakey Biceps, and his arms are so big, he can't even turn to wipe his own ass.
I do curls twice a week, once in the gym, and once when I'm sitting here talking to you beautiful people doing 12-ounce curls, baby.
Then we got my man Ethan Turner. He may have the voice of an angel, but in the morning, he'll probably leave you on red.
What's poppin'?
Brand new. Oh, probably can't say that.
Yeah, better not go even further than that.
Fellas, baseball. Baseball right now is, to me, let's put yourself in your childhood. You're going on your first beach vacation. You're in the car, you're with your family, you're going over that bridge, and you can see the beach and the ocean and the waves and the people on the beach, and it's right there, like you can run to it, right? But then you got to go to your hotel, your condo, whatever you're in. You got to unpack, you got to get groceries, and you got to go to the grocery store with your parents because you're too damn young, to stay in the condo by yourself.
Right, yeah.
So you have to do all this stuff before you get to the beach. You don't get to the beach till like 4 o'clock. You're pissed off. Bit. Oh my God, it's just tearing at you, right?
Yeah, then 6 o'clock, let's go to dinner. You're there for 2 hours.
That's where I'm at with baseball.
And you're just trying to make sandcastles.
Right. That's where I'm at with baseball right now.
Absolutely.
Like I can see it. It's there. I'm in the car. But we're not sure yet.
And you know what's convenient about all this? Baseball's not here. And we're down in southern Indiana, northern Kentucky area, and spring is barely even showing its face right now. Like, it is not even baseball weather, and we're on May 6th right now.
We've got a couple good days, a couple really shitty days, obviously. Like, yesterday I almost thought it was snowing when it was misting in 42.
Yeah.
So during pandemic, some bad weather, it's hard to stay positive, but there is that ray of hope right now.
We're on the horizon.
Baseball.
It's going to happen.
I think we got some good things. To break it down in a timeline, we had the thought of a remote bubble city season first pop up. Right. And I think that was on the coattails of the NBA.
Yeah.
I think that's where that was stemming from, and the NBA, I think, can probably pull that off.
Absolutely.
Given the people, they don't have the amount of players and people involved. Right. And all they have to do is finish a playoff, really, in theory.
Yeah, we're trying to execute an entire season.
Baseball, we're in a different situation right now. We got to get through an entire season. We're talking more players, more people involved. In the demographic, if you think like NBA, a lot of single guys, honestly, young, single people, probably not kids. If you are married, probably don't have a lot of kids.
Baseball players, married families.
Baseball players, you're in your prime from what, 26 to 32?
Yeah. At least. Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking kids, families, multiple.
Oh, absolutely.
Multiple children. So a lot of the dudes, I think, kind of scoffed off at that and said, I want to be with my family. I mean, you got guys expecting kids during this. Shout out you. You're about to expect a kid.
About 3 weeks, man.
Let's
go. 3 weeks. Another Cubs fan will be born.
Yes. But yeah, so I think that got kind of washed off, and I don't really blame them, honestly.
I will say the players are going to want to play because as of right now, there's $4+ billion in salary to be paid this year, and if they don't play, the new bargaining agreement they just agreed on gets split to every Major League Baseball player, and it's $170 million, and it ends at the end of May. So if we're not playing by the end of May, the little bit of change they've got paid, that's it. And I know these guys, you're Mike Trout, got $400 million on the line. You're going to want to play some baseball.
Absolutely.
And I think, the thing is, it is going to get played. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And after the, remote bubble city season was kind of disregarded, we kind of moved into this new era of thought with the first time I saw it was Bob Nightingale, USA Today. I'm not sure if you guys saw the same thing, but he's the first person to come out and give the idea of the 3-division, 10-team discussion plans that he believed were happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're talking start late June, no later than July. Is it 100? Did they decide on 100?
They want 80 to 100.
80 to 100. Yes.
100's ideal. And I kind of like the breakdown on it. You figure, say you did a 100-game season, and you did 10 teams per division, 3 divisions. The idea what they had was 2 3-game series against each of the 9 opponents in your division. That's 54 of the games right there, just in your division.
Okay.
And they're potentially talking about playing games in Phoenix, Dallas, or Tampa, which each of those states has 5 ballparks an hour apart. That's if they did that. But now it sounds like they're probably talking about playing in home ballparks.
I think right now as it stands, it's the 3 division, it's the 10 teams. Splitting the divisions
geographically
up,
somewhat
correct,
close together.
And that's what I was about to say is I think the alignment that they're going with East, Central, West.
Yep.
That allows you to cut down on travel.
Right.
So
So I've pulled up an article from Sports Illustrated. I was scrolling on Twitter and found it, and was reading into it. The only teams that really would suffer from that would be Houston and Texas because they would be in the West, and you're still almost every other West team is in California.
Yeah, I think the travel gets
their
a little
travel
more
would be a lot more than
Well, you know what signs are coming to you. I mean, is it really going to be that stressful on you?
And here we go.
Accurate. But yeah, so I think with that cutting down the travel, and like you said, some teams, will have the short end of the stick there.
Right.
But you can
play in your home ballpark in that sense.
Yeah, and just like now,
travel.
you go on a West Coast road trip, you're not spending 3 days out there. You're
No,
going to go out
just
there
a
for
couple
2
days,
weeks.
yeah.
So
And then-
Houston just knocks out a bunch of road games at one time and goes play a bunch of home games at one time.
Right.
I don't think it's that big.
So
of a deal.
do we want to break down for everyone here what the division lines look like?
Yeah.
So you got the East would be Baltimore, Boston, Miami, the Mets, the Yankees, the Philly, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and the World Series winning Washington Nationals.
The Nats.
Then your Central Division.
Can I say
Yep.
something
Yep.
about the East there?
Yeah.
Give me all the games against the Orioles, the Pirates, the Marlins. As a Red Sox fan, give me all those games, baby.
Absolutely.
Give me all of them.
Like that, if you're on the East, there's like 3.
If you're a top team in the East, you're like licking your lips.
3 teams
You're ready to feast.
3 teams jump off the plate, like right off the bat, to me, would be the Yankees, probably the Phillies, and then the Blue Jays. No, sorry, not the Blue Jays, the Rays.
Yeah, you got to have the Rays in there. They've won 90 plus.
Those three teams right there. Other than that, you're looking at, I'm saying teams that are barely over 500.
You already counting the Nats out?
I don't know.
Okay. They lost one piece, but okay.
I don't know. It's the Nats. They did it last year. They finally did it, and then I just don't know.
And here was what is interesting. You do name off those top 3 teams, and I do not disagree with that because I think that's just what the stats say. Those are records that you're talking right there. But as someone in the Red Sox shoes, who right now we're viewed as underdogs, maybe contenders.
Maybe,
if things
they're
fall
right there. Yeah.
Here's the thing about this is it gives you a glimmer of hope if you are in that position.
Right.
Or even if you're the Orioles or, the Marlins. It's like the season isn't going to be normal. Adjustments have to be made. Maybe some people don't make the adjustment as well as others, and you sneak up on people and win this division.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a short enough season that if you come out on a hot start, you don't have so much time to screw it up.
Exactly.
You're going to be way out front, and if you keep riding it out, there might be a couple Cinderella teams to sneak in.
About the MLB season in general is you got to be on point for 162 games.
Yep.
Right? And that is difficult.
Yeah, how many times we see a team come out the gate and they might be projected last in the division, and they're leading the division by 10 games a month and a half into the season, and then they're 15 games back at the end of the season. That's what happens in a 162 game season. You don't matter how hot you start or how hot you end, you got to play 162 games day in and day out.
Right. So we'll move on to the Central.
Ooh.
Which would be Atlanta Braves.
I tell you what, the Central is attractive.
Yeah.
Just in terms of baseball.
Yeah.
Atlanta Braves, Chicago Cubs, the White Sox,
Go Cubs.
Cincinnati Reds, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Minnesota, and St. Louis. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
The only team that
there's a couple teams that are maybe there's 3 teams out of all that's irrelevant in my opinion.
which would be
Sorry,
the
Kansas
Tigers,
City, Detroit, and the White Sox.
Well,
I don't know. I'm on the White Sox.
They spent money, man, but no.
I'm not totally off the White Sox, but like literally the only team that was like when you were reading that list was Detroit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was like
Right?
yeah.
Because you don't know what the Indians are going to do. I mean, they lost, 2 of their starting pitchers.
The Indians have been like so.
And they didn't know,
and normally people would count them in because they're in a weak division.
Right.
Well, that just changed.
Bauer's
so.
gone. So is Kluber.
Yeah.
And then they still don't know what they're going to do with Lindor.
Right.
In the
that's
sense
a
of,
mess.
they might trade him midseason.
That's the
You
other
never
thing.
know.
What about the deadline? And
Yeah.
you're going to see an insane deadline this year.
So, but then every other team there, the Braves, playoff team, Cubs, they didn't make it last year.
Got
They're
the talent.
around.
But,
it.
yeah,
the
they're
talent.
there.
Brewers made the playoffs.
Brewers
Cardinals made the playoffs.
Twins made the playoffs.
The Reds have completely.
The Reds have revamped.
Yeah, their team.
I mean, they're in a situation they're going for it. So,
Yeah,
like,
they spent money, which is
So that
unheard of for them.
That's
but-
going to be brutal right there.
Yeah, the Central I think as an outsider looking in here, I said on the East, like those are games that I'm like, I'm gonna tune into those.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tune into those games.
So let's move to the West. You have Arizona, Colorado, Houston, the Angels, Dodgers, Oakland, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, and Texas. So again, it's like the East. There's a few teams there that pop off, and then everything else.
Yeah, I would say Central's your top dog.
Absolutely.
East, West.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would put the West at the
Probably.
bottom just because, I mean,
And not like those rankings even matter. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but it's
but
just like if you want to
obviously the
compare them.
Dodgers are primed to be the best team in baseball.
on paper,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And the Astros, they should be up there.
They'll be good again.
Yeah.
But it's just, yes, did they cheat? Absolutely. But were they still? They
Is
still
the
have
talent there?
talented?
Yes,
Absolutely.
they're a very talented team.
Yeah.
So
Even
and
though
then-
they shouldn't be playing this season, but yeah,
and
we'll get into
the
that.
Angels. Like it's another one of those teams, like the Nationals. Like the talent's always there. When are they going to put it together?
Hey, they got my man Joe Madden.
And then they get Rendon from the Nationals.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing about Joe Madden too is like, it's not like he was fired for bad performances per se. It was just like it was stale.
It was his time to go.
Yeah, it was
It
stale.
don't matter how. I mean, it was like Theo Epstein leaving Boston. He'd been there long enough.
Yeah.
He needed
It
to
was
move
stale.
on,
They just
go to
needed
his
new
next
life.
project. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
and so like you're talking about a good, manager who has the pedigree going into a situation where you have the best player in baseball, and a lot of good pieces around him too. I mean, the Angels they're right there too.
Right. So in that same article that I found on Sports Illustrated, so they were taking those 3 division 10 team thing and kind of broke it down even further as far as to like take in the account of Texas and Houston having to travel all the way out west. So
Okay.
what they did in this article was took the East, broke it into 2 subdivisions, 2 5-team divisions, one being the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, and Blue Jays. And then the South subdivision would be the Orioles, Marlins, Pirates, Rays, and Nationals. So you're cutting down and travel even further. Mm-hmm. And then the Central, they would add 2 teams to it. So you would have 12 teams in the Central. So the one division would be the North would be the Cubs, Reds, Indians, Tigers, Brewers, Twins. And then your South division being the Braves, White Sox, Royals, Astros, Cardinals, and Rangers. So they put the 2 Texas teams more towards the Central because it's closer to travel to, I would say, like, Kansas City and
for
St.
years,
Louis.
the Astros played in
Yeah,
the NL
that-
Central
yeah.
anyways. I mean,
And then the West would be only 8 teams with Colorado, Oakland, San Francisco, and Seattle in one division, Arizona, both LA teams, and San Diego in the other.
Okay, so you're just pulling 2 from the West, put them in.
Putting the
Right.
Central is all they're doing, and then just kind of breaking it down more.
And that's not like, is that something that's been talked about? Is that what that article
I
said?
don't know if that. No, it hasn't been actually discussed through like Major League Baseball. I don't
It's just
think,
a
but it's just a
theory he has
theory
that
he
makes
has to
sense.
make it a little better, and to like expand even further. Talking about playoff. His thought would be, you take the top 2 teams out of each subdivision, and that gives you, let's see, so that would make 6 divisions. That would give you 12 playoff teams.
Yeah, well, here, let's start here. Normal season, how many playoff teams we got?
10 total.
Yeah.
Like on
10.
in a normal season, and so that's you got your division winners and 2 wild cards from each.
Then the 2 wild
yes.
cards play each other. And
Yeah.
Okay, so then they would bump it up to 12 here.
Yeah, which he was going on just based off of how the MLB is already wanting to expand the playoffs. So
that's
you're
Holy
already
crap. I honestly forgot about that.
which
Yes,
it's not. Which
they are.
the playoff expansion isn't like set in
Right.
stone, but it's just an idea. So he was.
Well, if this is a season to try stuff, this is it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to try some things, this is absolutely a season.
Well, yeah,
to do
this
it.
is where we're still this will be the first season of 3 batter minimum, and it's going to happen in the most insane season in
Right.
baseball history.
right. But yeah, playoffs.
If anything wanted to save Manfred's ass, this is the season.
Not probably
Because
yeah.
every rule change he's made that's pissed everybody off,
no one's
everybody's
gonna care.
forgot about it. We're so desperate for baseball.
just want baseball.
Make it happen, man.
right.
All right. Manfred, you got a chance to do something right. Let's play some ball.
So, just in terms of like the playoffs in a general sense, not necessarily predicting teams or anything like that. Has anything been discussed about like within this format of a season? What do the playoffs,
look like?
in terms of?
Everywhere I've looked,
Is it going to be?
there's some theories, but they think it's definitely going to be an expanded playoff, but I'm not really seeing anything set in stone.
Well, I'm also thinking logistically here
Right.
in terms of the playoffs. So, I've also heard some like Super Bowl type stuff
Where you have like
you're in one central location.
central location.
And you play these games in one place and kind of blow it up and make it an event,
Right.
instead of, traveling back and forth and, risking those travel miles and hours and stuff like that.
Well, I did read one scenario where, all this clearly is affected by COVID-19, and there's been talks like, what if they start the season up and a second wave of COVID comes and stops it again, which is always a possibility. Which MLB, they want to have a playoff no matter what. So if a second waves come, they've even talked about doing a huge tournament to where more or less half the league would get in, and they would play like 4-game series, and then from beginning to end, each opponent you play is a 4-game series, best out of 4, go on.
So then you're almost getting into like March Madness.
Yeah, it's going to be a bracket
is-
scenario like that, which would be
that's
insane.
awesome.
I mean, I'm cool with it. If we want to just give everybody a playoff chance right now and start it now, let's make it happen. I mean,
I mean,
if we're ever going to play with anything, now's the season to do it.
Yeah, so like this guy was talking about playoffs, so saying, under his structure, you could take the top 2 teams out of each subdivision, which would give you 12 playoff teams.
Right.
But if you didn't want to do it that way, you could do it exactly. There's 6 divisions, in baseball already.
Right.
So you could take the same thing, the division winner, and then 2 wild cards from each.
And then it'd be the exact same
It'd be
playoff
the exact
format.
same playoff format.
true.
That makes the most sense. If
Yeah.
you're going to keep things as normal
If
as
you have 3
possible.
divisions,
But then you get into
it kinda carries over pretty
travel
well.
because like your wild card game. What do you do? So like say that your wild card teams, one's from the east and one's from the west.
Well, there's already talks. Like I think everybody's going to play in their
I think
home-
at that point
I think we're playing in our home ballparks, but I think when playoffs start,
it's a 1 game. You can travel.
I think it's inevitable they're going to play in a neutral ballpark.
yeah.
I think that's
Right.
so. I don't think travel's going to matter. You're both going to go to a neutral ballpark and play your whole
like
series in one ballpark.
Super Bowl style.
Yeah. That's
like-
what I think. We're not going to get away from that. I think that's what's going to happen. There's
Yeah.
just so many reports out there, which they said they're going to come. MLB insider claims that next week we're going to have an announcement from baseball, which makes sense because, like I said, the players are only getting paid through the end of May, and they're going to want some sort of insight about what their future holds.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to money,
Oh, and then here's something to just put in the back of your head here. So every organization in baseball right now has made it to where they're paying all of their employees right now full salary through May 31st. And everybody in baseball says that date is not an accident. That's what they're set in
Right.
stone because they plan on baseball happening sometime around the end of May, which kind of makes sense with the whole June 10th
Correct.
spring
With
training,
spring training start,
report.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spring training 2,
Yeah.
June 10th.
3 weeks of spring training followed by July 1st opening
Which,
day.
I mean, can we just talk about that date for a second? Opening day, July 1st.
Let's back it up. Let's just back it up 3 days and let's just do it on America's birthday.
But
Come on.
I think it like coincides with that. So like July 1st is technically
the first
what?
series of baseball.
Is it Thursday?
It's a Wednesday, I believe. I looked it up the other day. I think it's a Wednesday.
Well, we got
Wednesday, Thursday. Call it what you want. But
it's a Wednesday, so if you start off with a
so if that's your opening day, think about it. Your big series.
well, what you're
going
gonna do
into-
is what you would do is almost like opening day. You'll just go ahead and start everybody off with a 4-game series out the gate. Make opening day July 1st, and then take a day off July 2nd. That opens you up for a 3-game series for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Biggest holiday in America and the best sport in America. I mean,
yes, we're
little
talking
bit of beer and apple pie, and buddy,
celebrating America. We're coming off no sports.
Yeah.
Baseball on America's birthday.
You're talking one night game. You're talking one night game a year.
Oh,
The fireworks were lit enough just to have one game.
I'm watching The Sandlot right now.
There
in my
you
head.
go.
I got
There you go.
I got
I
you.
mean, I'm just.
I mean,
Man.
what?
A little bit of chewing tobacco, tilt-a-whirl action,
Throw some
up.
dogs on the grill.
Yeah,
Dude,
boy.
I'm telling you, it's like romantic thinking about that July 4th opening weekend where we've been starving for sports.
Yeah.
And to come out like that, July 4th, baseball.
It's
I
perfect,
mean,
man.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
It really is perfect. And, I do with, talking about like trying stuff in terms of, we already have a wonky season, right? And I think we can clearly say fans are done for the most part.
I'm not so sure.
The
That's
first
case.
half of the season, at least,
Yeah, possibly.
probably. Give us mic'd up.
Oh, absolutely.
Why not? Just give us
I mean,
mic'd up.
isn't that the best part of the All-Star game? Is when they mic up the
All-Star
outfielders?
game, I think it's spring
or the
training.
batters. Yeah, spring,
spring
training,
training?
too. But it started. I just remember it started
Yeah.
in the All-Star game. But yeah, I remember Anthony Rizzo. He's up to bat, and they asked him what pitch was coming, and he made a good guess. And I think they threw him a fastball. He hits it in the gap. It's a double. They're like, "Well, how'd you know?" He said, "Oh man, I heard the banging of the trash can."
Well, then Mookie was 2 years ago.
Oh, that was great.
The Red Sox, and someone just smashed one on a rope out to right. And it's spring training. He wasn't really going after it. He knew he wasn't getting it. He's like, "Yeah, boys, I'm not getting this
I'm
one."
not getting this one. Yeah.
Which is great, but like, if you want to try stuff like that,
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah,
try it. Get me mic'd up. I mean, what else you got? I mean, try some wonky stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Because this is the time to do it. Anything that you've been thinking about doing or trying out, just go ahead and do it. I mean, I'm not saying the season's going to be a wash
Right.
by any means. It's going to count and it's going to be important. But since we're dealing with adjustments and we're dealing with change, if you want to try something, do it.
I think another cool thing we're going to see too, because let's just be honest, there's not going to be minor league baseball this year. Like, they're just going to scratch the season. There's no way there's going to be minor leagues. So a cool thing we're going to see is with your typical September call-ups, you're going to see them right out the gate. There's
True.
going to be expanded rosters, and any big prospect anybody's wanted to see, he's going to be sitting in your clubhouse ready to play day in and
So
day
do
out.
they? I mean, the season's going to be shortened. So what they usually have? You usually have 25, I think, is what it used to be.
Yeah,
and then they
it's-
expanded now to 27 or something like that.
Yeah, 27 or 28, I can't remember.
So do you just allow teams to bring their entire 40-man?
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's possible, and especially because, you're going to get into a situation where you're going to be playing more games in consecutive.
Yeah, you're going to be
Time
looking.
frames?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see a lot
So
of double
doubleheaders.
headers. So you're going to want expanded rosters.
So you're going to bring up some guys who, not only the fringe guys who are flirting AAA MLB, you're going to be bringing up the guys to play in those spots where you looked at them before all this happened and said, you're just a AAA player right now.
right.
Right.
Well, here's the thing.
They're going to get a chance to show themselves.
Here's something else you're going to have to look at, though. I would say it's going to go 40-man because my whole philosophy behind that is there's not going to be no send-downs and call-ups.
Right.
To start the season, you're going to name your roster, and that's who you're dealt with the rest of the season.
But here's where that gets really crazy is a guy that's never been there before, you bring him up now, you're cutting into your MLB service time, and what does that do as far as contract-wise?
That'll get hairy.
That's
Yeah,
where it gets real, because like once
That'll
you,
get hairy.
a lot of teams really like to do that. I mean, the
And
Cubs
I mean,
did it
there's
with
like-
yeah,
Chris
I mean,
Bryant.
with Bryant, they held him out. I mean, They won 99 games in 2015 and made it to the playoffs, and they held him out the entire first month of the season to get 1 extra year of service time out of him.
Right.
If they would have started him out the gate, who's to say they wouldn't have won 105, 106 games and won the division, which wouldn't have really mattered anyways. But that just shows you how desperate teams are to keep a guy an entire extra year. It's a business decisions. But I don't know. As far as contracts go coming into this season, I have no speculation. I don't even know what to think about what Manfred is going to agree with. Which, I mean, you look, how many guys just signed new contracts this year? What's going to happen?
I can throw one out there for you right now off the top of my head. This is Castellanos for the Reds. He signed a 4-year deal, 3 to 4 year deal, but he has the option to back out after 1 season.
Right.
So when we're only
July of next year. They count.
Say contracts are not going to change. We get half a season out of him, and he can leave.
I almost think.
Well, this has to count as a season.
Oh,
they're going to crown a champion and play this out.
Yeah,
it counts.
Yeah. Which players that are getting older, look at Joey Votto. He's coming out of the tail end of his prime. He's going to want to play this year. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
It's just I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do about contracts. I think Taylor's right. I think you're going to pay him their full service time. As far as players in current MLB contracts, as far as guys getting called up, I don't know. I guess
get hairy, it will. Like, do they get MLB contracts?
But but it's kind of even. Everybody's got to do it, so
right.
It is what it is. I don't know.
I say you just you count it, and then that just negates everything. I know it sucks. The circumstances suck, but at the same time, if everybody has to do it, it sucks for everybody.
Yeah, and these are just these are the logistics that. I think it's why we're seeing this not announced yet.
Right.
I think that's
figuring
why,
it all out.
The Plouffe tweets,
Yep.
the Nightingale tweets, the stories are floating and they're coming around and people are starting to leak them. But I think a lot of this logistical stuff with rosters and contracts and service times, this is why the official announcement isn't here yet.
Right.
But I think we're literally on the horizon.
I'm sure Major League Baseball's got a set date right now. They're just in the matter of figuring all this other. I mean, there's just a few things
we've signing papers.
Yeah, there's a few things we brought up, and Lord knows how much other stuff they have to figure out to get this going. I mean,
yeah, it's just about signing papers and getting official and making sure the Players Association agrees to it as well.
Right.
And once all that stuff gets wrapped up,
another thing to think of. I actually seen this just happen. This is what really makes me know or gives me confidence baseball's gonna happen this year. MLB had just come up with an agreement for the umpires union. I mean, they had to get with the umpires and be like, "Hey,
yes,
are you guys okay with this to do this season?" The umpires, whatever they discussed, said, "Yes, we're gonna have a season, or we agree to your terms." So there's a whole nother labor union just for the umpires, and they've already agreed to the MLB. So where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right, and I saw that too. It was John. Oh, what's his last name?
Is it Heyman?
John Heyman.
Yeah,
John Heyman. He put that out and I read it once, and then it slapped me in the face.
Right,
that's kind of
how I was.
Oh wait, what?
I'm like, oh, that's low key, and I'm like, oh wait, that's a big deal.
They just agreed to terms for 2020 season.
Yeah.
So it's okay, they haven't announced the season yet, but that right there, damn near
because you need umpires. That's
damn
huge.
Near announces it.
Absolutely. So here's one thing that I thought about is as far as your season goes, are they going to test players every so say the Reds travel to Pittsburgh or something, or not Pittsburgh, so they travel to Chicago, and then they make it back home for another series. Do they get tested to see if they have COVID every road trip?
That was a big part of kind of their plans.
Right.
In terms of what I saw, they want a very strong testing ability, I guess you would.
Yeah, and I've seen reports as far as actual COVID tests, because you got to look at it a bunch of ways. So they've talked about a shortage as far as testing goes in the country. But also, we know through the steroid scandal, baseball's got the technology to come up with a test very fast.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think there's no way they can't develop enough tests for these players day in and day out.
Yeah.
But they're also, I've seen where they've talked about a smart thermometer type technology.
Just checking to see
temps, which I'm not going to get. We're not experts. We're not getting in depth as far as COVID goes.
But as long as you have a normal temperature,
which
they
we deal
say
with that
they
every
say
day when we
you
go
know
to work. Like
right.
We get scanned every day when we go to work.
My work office just put like this camera in that literally detects your body temperature when you walk through the door.
That's what we do. They like look at our eyeballs.
It's pretty cool.
A certain way.
So I mean, like in terms of that, I think that will be relevant.
Yeah,
that'll be prevalent. But I do think testing in terms of if someone does have a fever, or if someone does have a cough, then I think they want testing available,
right?
Very quickly, and then I think once that happens, I think they do plan on like testing the entire team.
Right.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
So here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing.
And then it does get hairy.
Yeah, that's where even with the whole expanded rosters thing we're talking about, what do you do when you're running out of guy? Well, I mean, we don't want that to happen.
Right, absolutely.
I'm not even going to suggest that. But you have a guy go down because he's got a fever. He might not even have COVID, but because of precautions, he can't play.
He's out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, what do you do about your roster? You could be losing guys for 2 weeks just from a common cold because we have to take these steps to keep everybody safe and healthy.
Here's my solution to that. Most managers now are fairly young. They're not young, but they're we're starting to see the wave
it's definitely
of
younger
managers.
Trend.
Okay, so keep your owners and GMs away from the players because they say this virus doesn't really affect healthy middle-aged to younger people. So like I know say one of the players does get it, as long as if they pass it to another player, you're really not hurting that much. I mean, they're probably going to kick it. So if you're wanting to like make sure you're not spreading it to people that's going to affect, keep the GMs and the presidents and your
I definitely think your front office guys, we're gonna have to take precautions and keep them away from the team. But also, if a guy tests positive, get him out.
You have to get him away, but like at least you're not exposing it to someone.
I don't think owners should be in the clubhouse fraternizing with the players. That we need MLB should put in some rules to prevent that.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean it's going to be very blocked off. The amount of people.
Well, are they still doing the proposed?
Gonna do,
the amount of people in the dugout, the press, it's going to be very blocked.
Well,
off.
are they still going to put people in the dugout? Or are they still doing that proposed thing where everyone's got to sit in the stands?
It's all hearsay.
I don't think that's happening anymore. I think that was more like the remote bubble city phase we were in.
Well, and that was. I mean, we look at what this was like a month ago. We're at a whole different ballpark now. I mean, their state's fully opening up right now.
Yeah,
where
that's
they don't have any
true.
restrictions.
Correct.
If you come to Kentucky, you better wear a mask.
Yeah, but we can cross the river, at least get our hair cut in a few days. We're all looking kind of rough. Need to get a trim.
Nah, I'm letting it flow.
No, we're flow, bro.
All right, let it flow. You guys rock the flow.
Mark my words. The flow will continue until the Reds win a playoff game.
Oh, boy.
Yikes. Yeah, you better hope there's an expanded playoff.
Woo, boy.
We're doing it. We are doing it.
I've tried to talk him into this the last 5 seasons. Now he conveniently wants to do it.
Hey.
I don't hate you for it. I'd say rock it. Let's go. I mean, you said it on it's recorded, so.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, it's done.
I was gonna do the beard too, but then like
now do they have to play in a playoff game or get a playoff win?
Playoff win.
Like a series win?
We'll go series win.
Ooh.
Because we've had a couple playoff wins.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go series win.
I was gonna let you slide on just winning the game.
Or I was gonna make a slide just making it to this.
Go big.
Even if they allow the whole league in the playoff, I was gonna let it slide, but whatever.
Yeah, we were gonna rock the playoff beard too, but then I did one of those COVID in-home cuts.
Didn't turn out well.
And I went with the old Fu Manchu here, the Fu Manchu.
So you gonna let the facial hair grow too?
No. I'm gonna rock this the mustache all summer long. It's gonna be a summer thing over here.
Mustache looks good.
I'm gonna keep it trimmed up and rocking that stash life, summer stash.
You're looking like the ginger James Hatfield right now.
Absolutely. Step inside.
Well, I'll tell you what, Taylor. Being a Red Sox fan,
yes, sir.
Your fanhood goes pretty deep, right?
Oh, we're going here.
So, what do you feel about this Red Sox investigation? So
fucking cheaters.
So Manfred investigates the Red Sox.
I'm about to start wringing my hands over here.
In the same instance as they did the Astros, right? And basically, from what they found, they suspended our good buddy T.J. Watkins for a season. For anybody who knows who TJ Watkins is, we didn't either. He's the video. He is the video replay operator.
Honestly, that
for
might
the Red
be how
Sox.
less you don't know him, because I think his name is JT.
No, I think it's.
Is it TJ?
TJ.
No, I think
Watkins.
it's JT.
I thought it was JT.
Is it JT?
I don't know. We're gonna have to fact check
But
that.
hey,
Fact
but
check.
listen,
Here we go.
That only proves your point.
Right, and then the Sox lose a second round pick, which is probably the worst thing that could happen to them at this point. Because Cora suspended for a year, but
So all I did was Google search Red Sox. First thing that pops up, Red Sox cheating.
So we got TJ or JT?
Damn.
That hurts, man. That
All
hurts.
right. I still haven't found it
Is it
yet.
Justin Timberlake Watkins or Timberlake
We're
Justin
rolling here.
Watkins?
Let me read. JT.
JT. Okay,
It is
But
JT.
that only proves your point.
Yeah.
How well this dude is not
Exactly.
known.
So they lose Cora for a year, but they canned him for now, anyways. But it couldn't have happened at a more convenient time. So, how do you feel about this?
Well, let's just start with Cora, because the report came out that Alex Cora they're upholding his suspension for an entire year.
Correct.
But
Which this counts as his year of service time, regardless of what happens.
correct. It does. But they did make it very clear. They said he is suspended for only the doings on the Houston Astros.
Right.
No wrongdoings.
Well, yeah, they
from him.
Yeah.
On the Red Sox.
Right.
And here is just what's incredibly frustrating. So if Alex Cora, obviously in the wrong at Houston, that's fine. We can agree to that.
Correct.
You can tell me that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
That's fine, and we all get it. But if nothing was found in the Red Sox organization and no players were found of doing anything wrong
Correct.
in the Red Sox organization, and all you got to tell me was JT Watkins, our replay coordinator, is the only person who's doing something wrong, you know what that is? That's a scapegoat.
Yep.
That's an absolute scapegoat.
Had to blame
And
somebody.
all you
Yep.
wanted to do was find something, because all that was going on is we're living in the replay era.
Yeah.
The replay era
yeah.
started around, 14, 15? We're talking guys who use the replay system to figure out, pitch,
Well, fair foul ball, even. I mean,
anything. I mean,
Yeah.
just, your pitch calls between pitcher and a catcher. So you're breaking that down. You're going in the next game, and you're using that information,
yeah.
right? Everyone's doing it. And that's why you're seeing...
You're getting into doing it by inning though. Like you would watch an inning. They would go. I think that's where
Correct.
they were talking.
Well,
I
yeah,
think that's what they were going
the
for.
live feed-
was he would go into the clubhouse, review
Watch-
that last inning, and come back out and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is the signs."
Wait.
Next inning they'd be on it.
Right.
Correct.
Which
Correct. And-
I blame MLB for this anyways, because if anybody doesn't know this, players typically they're going to go into a cage, they're going to be hitting off a tee or something. In the live feed of the game, they are literally watching the pitcher to get his
Correct.
timing right. Anybody with a half of a brain can watch an MLB game live, and you're going to start to figure out a guy's signs because the camera's pointed right at the crotch.
Why
of
do
the
you think they
catcher.
change them every
Right. So I blame MLB for allowing this to even go on. You should not allow feeds in a clubhouse. So the game should not be in there.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
How did they do it 50 years ago? They went in the clubhouse, hit off a tee. They weren't watching the game on TV. So I blame MLB, honestly, probably more than the Red Sox. The Red Sox just used what was to their disposal.
And that's seriously the thing. I mean, they were doing everything that every other team was doing. And I know I'm the Red Sox fan saying, well, everyone was doing it.
Right.
I know it sounds like shitty coming from me, but the thing is, you want to know the proof that no one cares that they were doing that is because there are no MLB players dragging the name of Alex Cora or any Red Sox players.
Correct.
If they really had a problem with it, they would be dragging the name of the Red Sox organization,
Oh,
just
absolutely.
like they dragged the Houston
Astros,
Astros
yep.
organization.
Yeah.
That's the difference. If you want to know the difference, if you don't know baseball and you don't really understand what was going on there, because I get it, baseball isn't our everyday sport. And you might not understand the difference between what went on with Houston and what went on with the Red Sox. But there's one thing you can point to. It's that players don't give a shit about what the Red Sox did, but they are dragging the Houston Astros organization for what they did.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference.
Absolutely. But did they only give a shit because Houston got busted for it before Boston?
Well, no,
Yeah.
I think they would have been harder on the Red Sox because of the iWatch situation in 2017.
I don't
If
know,
they were
though.
really doing
I'm just giving you
something.
shit about it.
I don't know though.
doing
I don't know
something.
though. I'm curious if Alex Cora's name didn't get brought up with the Astros. Would we even be having this conversation about the Red
About
Sox?
Boston? They wouldn't even look into Boston
No.
if Alex Cora was not their
No,
manager.
the only reason they did was because of Cora. They're like, well, you know what? Cora did this. Let's look at the team
Well,
he's at now.
I will give you an interesting tidbit about that. Yes, you are correct. If Alex Cora does not manage the Red Sox, I don't think they get brought up.
No.
If Alex Cora managed the fucking White Sox,
Same shit. They would be
They're probably getting
investigating
investigated,
this.
right?
That to prove that point, look at the Mets.
Carlos Beltran.
Beltran gets hired.
Exactly.
His name gets brought up, fired. Any other investigation into the Mets? No, because he's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there is another interesting little side show here. Evan Drellich covered the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years.
Okay.
But he also left that market and covered Houston.
Right.
He then left. Where'd he go?
Back to Boston, I
The
assume.
Athletic.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Oh,
What company broke the story?
The Athletic. Got you. So
Evan
you knew
Drellich.
all this was going on all along, and he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to get my name out there.
What a
There's your guy.
snitch.
There's your guy.
What a
Evan Drellich.
snitch.
I mean, for what the Astros did, deserve to get snitched on. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yes,
I'm
I
glad.
mean,
I'm glad he brought it out because fuck that. Fuck the Astros.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
he's-
mad that he brought it out. I'm mad that the Red Sox name gets dragged
Yeah,
into
no,
the
I
bullshit.
agree. But like, just to get this out there for people that don't know, stealing signs, part of baseball. Always has been.
Correct.
If there's a guy at second base, he hits the double, steals second, whatever. He's on second base. He's trying to read the catcher signs. That's part of his job.
If
And
you
then he's
pick it
gonna-
up as a player,
Yes, that's okay.
and go into the dugout and be like, hey, I saw him do this.
He
number
tipped his
with-
pitch. It's called tipping pitches.
Yeah.
If a pitcher does something particularly different on a curveball than he would a fastball, he tipped his pitch. He told you what he's doing.
So not only do they look at body movement, they look at they try
Catcher's fingers, what signal they're
anything.
throwing.
So if you pick that up as a player, absolutely use it to your advantage.
But what the Astros were doing, every scenario possible, they were putting into an Excel spreadsheet and created a decoding device to when they would give
There
a
was an
signal.
algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had an algorithm going to where anytime they put a sign up, bam, they could put it in there. It would tell them exactly what pitch is coming.
Correct.
That's not sign stealing. That is electronic espionage.
yes,
Correct.
Yeah,
That-
absolutely.
That's a whole nother ball game we're talking. We're talking replay era, man.
Yeah.
We're talking, and there are many reports of Yankees players.
Right. It's as scumbag as it can get.
I mean, there's reports of Yankee players who admitted to being part of the replay era. It's not a huge deal. And this is what frustrates me about the entire investigation from Manfred and MLB is they investigated the Red Sox since about January.
Right.
And you sat there and you investigated and you interviewed players and you interviewed Cora
And they
again.
drug this on
And
and
you drug it on, and you drug it on, and
Yeah.
what'd you find? That they were doing nothing wrong besides what was going on in the entire Major League
Right.
Baseball.
And the bullshit
as a
about it is
league.
the Red Sox, they go ahead and let go of Cora just because like his name popped up with the Astros. Like, all right, well, let's get rid of this guy. So clearly they gave a shit what was going on. I mean, and then MLB comes in and, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and suspend your replay coordinator and we're going to take your second round pick.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And
Like,
it's absolutely just a scapegoat
Right.
situation.
It's a joke.
And I guess parting words from me, the Red Sox fan, is if you think the Red Sox were some random rogue team who was using the replay room to get an advantage during baseball games, not only do you maybe not know baseball, you might just be an idiot.
no, I agree.
yeah. But
Done.
it just, I can see why, Alex Cora comes from Houston, goes to Boston, and what do?
Win the World Series and win 108 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that right there is just, they were like, oh, I guess we got to look into it.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't blame
But from what
And
I
part of me-
remember of that
you know,
World
part of me is
Series.
like, you know what? Good. Glad you investigate us because now kiss our asses
Right.
that we were just that fucking dominant.
Because do you want to come to Boston?
Nobody wants to come.
do you want to come to Boston in November?
Nobody wants to come to Boston in October.
October. But what I get,
Oh, man.
honestly, though, if you look back on that World Series, Red Sox weren't just teeing off
No.
on Dodgers players.
They were just, David Price,
would
Chris
you see
Sale.
Altuve against Chapman?
Evaldi
That
was good
is
that
just
year.
absurd,
Like
man.
that whole team was good. Their pitching staff was fucking amazing.
But you look back at the Astros and their little cheating reign. It was like watching a damn wiffle ball game, dude. They were just teeing off on him. Yeah,
I mean,
when you see little 5'0" Altuve just
Altuve sends the Astros to the World Series. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, fuck him.
He was fucking sitting on Chapman's fucking changeup right there.
Yeah.
Bullshit. He didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, there's no way. I would like to know the percentage of changeups that Chapman even throws.
Not very many.
And he's throwing 102
Fastball slider.
mile an hour heater.
Fastball slider.
Yeah.
That's his shit. And then he throws a changeup and Altuve.
And the funny thing was, it was high outside, and he clubs the son of a bitch to left field like it was a freaking lobbed in there to him. It is a joke.
But I am glad we went ahead and, broke down kind of the difference of the Red Sox and Astros, because what really it doesn't even make me mad. It almost makes me sad that since the Astros investigation happened so soon to the time around the Red Sox investigation happened, that history, when people move on and you don't really know what happened, is when you look back and you hear that the Astros
you're gonna see them both together
and the Red Sox got investigated at the same time. You just lump it together.
Yeah, but honestly, you're a Red Sox fan. I know that disgusts you to know that even happened, because if anybody claimed the Cubs 2016 World Series was tainted, it would piss me off to every bound I can come up with.
Right.
But from somebody on the outside looking in, I don't think baseball looks at the Red Sox remotely even close to how they look at the Astros. I mean, the Astros look like dog shit. Like everybody, if you're not an Astros fan, which I'm sure they've lost fans, but if you weren't an Astros fan in the first place, they just became the most hated baseball team above the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
The Red Sox, honestly, there's so much hatred towards the Astros right now. I don't think people have enough, at least me, I don't have enough hate to hate two teams that much. I hate the Astros that much right now.
Not a lot of people even hate the Red Sox.
No.
I mean, they're pretty likable.
They have. Dude, let's be honest, the Astros were likable before this.
They were very likable.
Yeah, they were
one of the most.
Aside from
likable.
the last year's Nats team, they probably were the most likable World Series team in a long time.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But
They screwed that one
Then
up.
that comes out. And, Now fuck the Astros.
Screwed that one up. But yeah, so I do want to get into.
So we're gonna kill that one. Move on to a new topic.
Actually,
hold on.
this is coming on to this topic. But I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
So I'm going to go from one thing to another real quick. So we seen that post on baseball the other day. You shared it. It said, would you rather throw a perfect game, or would you rather hit 4 home runs in a game? And we had a little bit of Facebook discussion going back and forth. So, Ethan, what was your pick?
Perfect game.
And why did you pick it?
Absolutely perfect game because, name me.
But do chicks not dig the long ball?
They do, but name me the last player in Major League Baseball to hit 4 home runs in a game.
Well, here's the thing. I know where you're going with this because I know this.
But you know it.
You should.
We all know it because
I'm pretty sure
I kind of got something I want to put that's going to back your point up. You look at someone like Dallas Braden, you know automatically that dude threw a perfect game. That literally named his career. His career was pretty subpar. You knew he threw a perfect game. The 4 home run game, last person to do it, Scooter Gennett for the Cincinnati Reds. Not very many people are going to know that.
No.
Unless you're
That's
a
what I'm
huge
saying.
baseball fan, you don't know Scooter Gennett hit 4 home runs.
No.
You're Dallas Braden, you know the guy threw a perfect game.
You know, you can name pitchers that threw a perfect game.
Oh, yeah.
You can't name that many players that has hit 4 home runs in a game.
And you got to go face 27 batters and get every one of them out without your defense giving up an error, and you didn't give up a walk. You come up to the bat, I get it. A pitcher doesn't have to throw at you 4 times, but you gave up 3 home runs in a row as a pitcher. You can be like, hey, screw this guy.
And honestly,
I'm gonna get him out this time.
It wasn't just the recognition thing for me. It was me sitting there thinking like, damn, throwing a perfect game I think is a bigger accomplishment than hitting 4 home runs in a game.
I think so.
Because perfect game, it's fucking hard.
But do you know what's even a bigger accomplishment than a perfect game?
Don't even fucking go there.
20 strikeout game.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Now,
This is a segment we like to call This Day in Baseball.
So, get this. Do you think 20 strikeouts is more impressive, or do you think a perfect game is more impressive?
It's
Just off top of your head.
I can't honestly, like right off the top of my head, I can't make a decision because
Off the top of my head, without even thinking about it,
Yeah.
no.
Which would you rather have?
No looking into it. I'm talking like literally just
No
putting it out
breaking down.
is perfect game.
Okay.
And I didn't think about that
Because you were perfect.
No,
The only
I'm
thing-
not talking about like why or what.
Yeah,
Just
right.
In
No,
my
just,
mind,
just when you hear
as-
perfect game, you think that is the
as a normal
that
person.
is the,
Yeah,
that is
I'll
the
di-
best stat.
I'll dive into the
as a
why
normal person
because
and
I
like
think
non-baseball fans.
Right.
because
Perfect
I
game,
think
they
most
probably
people will think, perfect game. Like they got every batter out, recorded and out on every person they faced.
27 up, 27 down. Nobody got on base. No errors, no walks.
And but
your
'cause-
defense was perfect.
and it's more common. Perfect game's more common.
That's what I'm getting at. There's 23 perfect games in the history of baseball. There's only five.
right?
There's only 5 20 strikeout games, and Clemens has 2 of them.
Clemens has 2. Johnson has 1.
One. Scherzer has 1.
Kerry Wood, Max Scherzer.
Yeah. So I think most people just think of as an average fan, you hear perfect game, you're like, oh man, that's crazy.
Right.
Like that's awesome. You hear a 20 strikeout game, you're like,
Yeah, when Scherzer just did it. I mean,
was it last year?
2016, I
2
think.
years ago?
2016.
was it? Okay, I couldn't remember.
so.
Because we were talking about.
and that was the closest since Johnson who did it in 01.
Right, because we were also talking about this a long time ago. It's like, would we ever see another 20 strikeout game, and would we ever see another 300 strikeout season?
And I'm gonna be honest, I really never thought we'd see another 20 strikeout game. I really did.
And Scherzer did fucking both of them.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and tell us this day in baseball what happened. Like,
Well, May 6, 1998, 20-year-old Kerry Wood comes up to pitch against the Killer Bees of the Houston Astros, which this is a big reason I also call this the greatest game ever pitched over any perfect game. So there's a bunch of different scenarios. He was only 20 years old. He was coming in at his 5th ever start in his career, which were all in the same season. He had a 5.89 ERA. His stuff was nasty, but he just didn't have good control. He had 12 walks over 18 and third innings coming in that game. He goes out to warm up for that game, and he claims he didn't throw a single strike. He was just throwing them all over the place. So he looks over at his manager.
It's hard to believe.
He looks over at his manager, Jim Riggleman.
probably like, I'm not throwing today.
Jim
Riggs.
Riggleman. Yep.
The old Riggs.
Riggs, manager Reds. So he looks over at him. He goes, hey, Riggs. He goes, I'm just going to save these for the game, man. He said, I don't know how many more of these I got. So he goes out there. The very first pitch of the game, Jerry Mills is the umpire. He drills him with a 98
doesn't he
heater.
overthrows catcher?
Yeah, it missed the catcher's mitt, drills Jerry Mills right in the face, right in the mask. So you think that's going to piss that umpire off right out the gate. Well, kind of another thing that's funny about it is their starting catcher didn't even start. If you ever want to win a trivia question, ask who caught Kerry Wood's game, because it was the backup catcher. It was Sandy Martinez. So 20-year-old kid comes up against him. He's got to face the Killer Bees of the Houston Astros. Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, Derek Bell. Outside of the Juice era, you're talking. If it wasn't for the Juice, you're talking 3 Hall of Famers. Biggio is a Hall of Famer. The other 2 would probably Bell probably would be in there. Bagwell, absolutely.
I would say Bagwell,
and
yeah.
Moises Alou was in that
Bagwell
lineup.
stands.
Yeah, squats. So he ended up throwing 20 strikeouts that game. Didn't give up a single walk, which was the most impressive part about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Kerry Wood, they asked him about his 20 strikeouts. He goes, man, I'm just glad I didn't walk a guy. Gave up 0 runs. He only gave up 1 hit. And his only hit was off Ricky Gutierrez. He hit a little dribbler to the third baseman, Kevin Ory. Smacked his glove. It should have been an easily fielded ball, thrown to first, and that would have sealed his no-hitter. He did hit Biggio with a pitch at one point in the game, so wouldn't have got a perfect game.
What inning was the hit?
It was early on. It was third or fourth.
Those-
inning.
those-
it was early.
that doesn't hurt that
it was
much.
early in well,
Those damn Cubs in one batter.
Right.
One play.
One play.
But anyways, it was early enough that it was getting later in the game, and they're like, "Oh man, that hit's starting to look pretty bad." It was at Wrigley Field too, so it was our scorekeeper that called it. But he pitched so good that game that Biggio was coming up to bat. He was the second batter of the ninth inning, and he had already had 19 Ks, so Biggio would have been his 20th. Give him a chance at 21. Clemens had already thrown 2 of his 20 strikeout games. So he had a chance to get 21. Biggio, Hall of Fame player, grounds out to the shortstop, and as he's running back to the dugout, he looks over and smiles at Kerry Wood because he thought he beat him just because he got a ground out. That's how good Kerry Wood's shit was that day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and Bill James had a formula. He has a pitching formula. You can look it up. Kerry Wood got 105 on that formula, and to this day, it's never been beat. And the funny thing is, the closest to it was actually Scherzer's 17 strikeout game back in 2017, I think. because that was his no-hitter with 17 strikeouts.
Yeah.
That's the closest pitching performance to Kerry Wood. And like we said earlier, Clemens did it twice. Wood did it once. Johnson did it once. Max Scherzer's done it once. And probably my favorite thing about that entire game was Derek Bell comes up to bat for the 20th strikeout. He throws him 2 nasty curveballs in the dirt, and Derek Bell drills a hole in the ground with his foot. He knew what was coming. Everybody in the stands knew it was coming. The announcers knew it was coming. Kerry Wood reams back. Chip Kerry goes, and here comes the hook. So what does he do? Throws him a curveball. What's he do? Swings, miss, 20 strikeout game. It's by far the most perfect game ever.
Crazy.
Outside of a perfect game. So,
Insane.
May 6th, 1998, 20-year-old Kerry Wood, 20 strikeout game.
What's kind of your memory looking back? Like
Well,
TV?
I was 6 years old at the time.
Because just to paint the picture of where I'm coming from is, when I go back and watch, the 04 comeback,
Right.
when I watch, highlights from 07 or 13, like any of those moments where Big Papi smacks a clutch home run.
Yeah. Which time, man?
I get tingly, man.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, man, I watched Kerry Wood's it was anniversary today. So
see, there's a Cubs fan. He watched the whole damn game.
So I watched the whole game, and when I hear Chip Kerry saying, "Here comes the hook," it just talking about it gives me chills, man. It makes my hair stand up. It's by far, I mean, it's hard to say. Winning the World Series was great, but that was a 7-game effort. One single game in the history of baseball, that is my favorite game that exists. Anybody, and you even asked me who my favorite player of all time is, it's Kerry Wood.
Kerry Wood.
I was 6 years old. I come home from school. My old man's sitting there watching that game. I tag along. He's telling me there's history going on. I think he'd already thrown 16 strikeouts, which even at that point was absurd to do. We watched him throw 20, and Kerry Wood is my childhood hero. He always has been. Anytime anybody asks me my favorite baseball player, it's Kerry Wood. That one game, and he had a few big games after that. If it wasn't for injuries in his career, I mean, he was compared to Nolan Ryan. He was from Texas. He threw heat.
Oh, yeah.
Man, he was just a
Lot of
stud, man. And just for what 2 instances in my childhood, Kerry Wood, 20 strikeout game, and then also 1998, same season, Sosa McGuire home run race. That 1998 was by far the biggest year of my childhood. That was huge.
Yeah. And then, incredible feat. I think you got it correct when there's five dudes who've had a 20 strikeout game.
Five scenarios, 4 people have done it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Clemens did it twice.
Clemens
Yep.
does too.
Twice.
And then you have, in the 20s of perfect games.
Right. 23 perfect games.
Now
That just shows you how rare a 20
right.
strikeout game is.
And then here's my thing, though. What in the hell's up with the number 20?
Are we
going to get 21?
I would say no.
Like, what is up with that number 20? Like, think of how
know,
weird
right?
that is. Like, Clemens does it twice.
Baseball's a game of numbers, man. For some reason,
Like,
there are
you can't
7
tell me
guys that are not going to strike out.
Like, Scherzer couldn't have got just one more.
Right.
Like,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, what is it? And
Same way as Wood. I think Wood did it in 120 pitches, which, I mean, that's a high pitch count, but
That's really not.
that's actually pretty.
he
That's
could have
actually not
faced.
that
He
bad.
could have for strikeouts. I mean,
Yeah.
he definitely could have faced another batter.
Right, because you got to think most major league pitchers, especially back then.
Yeah.
Like
well,
now,
Well, for instance, one of
Yeah,
Clemens' 20
absolutely.
strikeout games, Clemens threw, I think, 151 pitches.
Yeah, that's
in
insane.
right?
That's
Like,
a whole other
back
inning
then-
of pitching.
yeah,
Easy.
Back then, pitch counts were like, ish. They pay a lot more attention to them now.
Right.
Oh,
But even now, there was a lot more. Like now, guys are taught to like pound the zone, north south.
Right.
Well,
And we all know they're like 100 pitches. That's kind of where you're at. You don't
back then, you're
There's
especially
rumors
Kerry
of
Wood,
Nolan
you're making guys swing at anything.
Right.
Like, so he's not only is he like not just easing fastballs in there and like getting people to miss. He's cranking curveballs. Like, his arm, like, it's hard to throw 120 pitches in a game.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he could throw a 96-mile-an-hour slider.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is on your elbow.
100 today, you're getting pulled.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you're in a no-hitter or a
Well,
perfect game. Or,
You got to be in a huge scenario.
That's most teams. But, if you're David Bell, you're pulling somebody with after 5 innings after 76 pitches.
Or if you're Dusty Baker, they're $150 in, and he's got another inning in him.
yeah, just
R.I.P. to Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor's
an
arms,
incredible
by the way.
feat on this day in baseball.
Definitely my favorite game ever. It's kind of funny that it happened on the day where
Taylor, you said you go back and watch games that get real tingly.
Oh,
We can sit down and watch Game 6 of the 1975 World Series if you want to.
Hey, I mean,
That'll make
Buckner.
that'll make you tingly.
Listen, I mean,
But then we can
Good
go.
thing I wasn't
We can
alive.
go watch games. Then we can go watch Game 7, and then let me reminisce on the Reds winning the World Series in my lifetime.
you gotta have something.
Well, I mean, not in my lifetime, but
You have to.
Yeah,
have
but what's
something.
worse, that
Before
or Buckner booting the ball against the Miracle Mets? I mean, that one's pretty. I think that's the one he will never watch again.
Listen, I'm serious. Like, I'm glad I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You want to talk about heartbreak? I'm one,
So you're saying if you were, you probably wouldn't be right now.
I think I'm one of the few. Well, I don't know. I had some big heartbreak in 03 when the Cubs blew it to the Marlins. That
was tough.
It's kind of weird, man. That season's more important, like more memorable to me than 2016 is.
That poor-
maybe it's
poor
because we
man.
got it done in 16. Like that was a huge sigh of relief.
It's relief.
Yeah, but I look at 03 and man, it's just one of those things where you're
like so
you
close.
thought the team had it and then they didn't have it, and then Bartman, and we won't go into that. But
I mean, but everyone always wants to blame Bartman.
it's not Bartman's fault, man. I'm blaming
was
Dusty
one.
Baker.
That was one play. Hold on, that was one play. But
We're not gonna go into this. Are we?
no. I'm going to say this, and then we'll move
There's
on.
there's two things I'll talk about that. For one,
Alex Gonzalez.
between his legs,
Right between his
the
legs.
next pitch is a dribbler between shortstop Alex Gonzalez's legs. And honestly, at the point of the Bartman incident, I think Pryor was at like almost 140 pitches, and Dusty Baker's like, leave him in. That didn't shake him.
Let him go.
Yeah,
Let him
and
go.
there went Mark Pryor's career.
Bartman could be a whole podcast
Oh,
episode.
Going to
All right. Well, I don't know if you might have heard a knock at the door during our recording. Just to fill people in, this is our first ever episode.
Right.
It's our first recording. My lovely wife, knew that I was recording this episode. We get a knock at the door. Pop, pop, pop. Ethan goes to the door. What happens? Like, no one was there.
Right. So like I looked out and I was like, well, no one's here. So
And Blake was like, UPS? Like, knocking
I'm
around.
thinking, is there a package
like, what
there?
the
or
fuck?
what?
I was like, I didn't order anything. So and then like just like kind of half-ass like open the door, like look out, don't see nobody, and look on my porch, and what the fuck's sitting there?
Three
Three Smirnoff ices.
Oh, so my
Apparently,
wife.
since you can't ice anybody, in person, that fucking knock and run.
I mean, there's UPS in this, man. UPS icing around here. But my lovely wife did leave.
We just got ding dong ice.
Yeah,
ding dong
ice.
ice. Yeah. Yeah, my lovely wife just ding dong iced us. And honestly, it's quite refreshing.
Oh, I liked it. It was good. It was cold.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out wifey. Shout out wifey.
Thanks for the support.
Brought to you by Shipley's Tavern.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out wifey. Shout out Shipley's. But yeah, so there is one thing that we do, need to discuss. Recently, Trey Mancini wrote an article in the Players Tribune announcing his stage 3 colon cancer. Not, really much to say here, not really much to go into.
No.
All that, needs to be said is that rivals, opponents, teammates, coaches, managers, fans, broadcasters, Trey, we're on your corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you
100%.
fight, we fight. And, given, if there's no baseball season, we would miss you. There is probably going to be a baseball season. We're going to miss you even more.
Yeah, because he's not playing this year.
Young player.
28 years old. He's practically our age.
Yeah, a young player who maybe, got off to a late start. Was really starting to come into it.
Yeah, he just had his breakout year last year.
Exactly. And the Baltimore Orioles got him a good one, honestly.
Yeah,
and,
he's a good kid.
So really, all I want to say, is just fight like hell. Kind of like Stuart Scott said.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you get tired,
He's in the fight of his life, man.
let other people fight for you.
Yes, sir.
And then get back up and fight again.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're in your corner, Trey.
Absolutely.
So thank you for listening to us in this first ever episode. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming soon.
We have a baseball season. We'll have great content. So we're pushing forward.
Oh yeah, content,
It's-
video, audio
If you want to
coming to you.
if you're a beginner and you want to learn more about the game of baseball, you can watch us. If you're an avid fan and you just want to hear us rambling on about baseball to, say your team doesn't have a game that day, listen to the podcast. It'll fill your baseball needs. We're here to bring content, entertainment, and
Absolutely.
We honestly just want to sit here and talk, really, because we all enjoy the game.
Yeah,
I think we're three buddies like to get around, drink beer, talk baseball. So
you get the
sit
pleasure
down,
of listening to us.
drink a beer, listen to us, like, subscribe, share.
Absolutely. All of it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
643 Podcast out.